Santosh, you can start.
Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Santosh Saha and I am an assistant professor at Surendra Institute of Engineering and Management, Siliguri. Surendra Institute of Engineering and Management, SIM, is a world-class engineering institution providing BTech courses in computer science and engineering, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, and EC. The college is recognized by AICTE.
नहीं भेजना होता तभी आए।
Everybody should mute yourself.
कॉलेज का नाम ना लिखे।
The college is recognized by AICTE and affiliated to MAKAUT under the aegis of Charitable Society Vidya Bharati Foundation. SIM started its journey in August 2009 and is dedicated to provide quality education in the field of engineering and management in North Bengal. Before the webinar starts, I would like to thank Dadaji, Provisi ma'am, Chairman sir, and Director ma'am. We are headed and guided by our principal sir, Professor Dr. S. Nagarajan. Today's webinar is on machine learning using Python. And before the webinar starts, I would request Principal Sir to say a few words and enlighten us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Santosh. Once again, I thank SEPTA for giving this wonderful opportunity for our campus. We got an overwhelming response from all over India. Around 400 plus participants have given registration, and we are going to start this session soon. I don't want to take much time because already we are delayed by 15 minutes. Santosh, you can directly introduce the speaker. We'll move on to the session without delay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So today's speaker is Mr. Rahul, and he is expert in data analytics, machine learning, artificial intelligence. He is currently working as a data analytics, machine learning, and AI expert with SETPA Infotech Private Limited, Noida. Before the webinar starts, I would request audience to feel free to send us your questions throughout the session via the question tab in your console. We would be happy to answer them towards the end of the webinar. This webinar is being recorded and a copy of webinar and the slides will be available after the presentation is over. So without further ado, I would like to hand it over to Mr. Rahul. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. I would like to start the session by giving my respects to the distinguished faculties of Surendra College, Siliguri. Thank you very much for organizing and giving me the opportunity to speak to all the members from around the country. So let us establish some ground rules first, and once we have established the ground rules, we can then move forward with the session. So I can see that we are continuously getting an increase and upsurge in the number of participants, and we have 183 participants as of now. So if all the participants can hear me clearly, I want you to tell that make sure that your microphone and webcam is not on at any particular point of time, because what will happen is that it will create a disturbance in the communication channel, right? Neither I will be able to hear you nor you will be able to hear me. Okay, so make sure that, again I'm repeating, your microphone and your webcam shall not be on at any point of time, right? You have a chat window provided by GoToMeeting software. So for all the questions and answers, feel free to interrupt me in the middle also. So for all the questions that you get, you can write down the questions, type down the questions in the chat window. I will simultaneously answer all the questions, right? So let's do a small exercise which will give me a confidence that all my participants of this webinar can hear me clearly. So what you guys need to do is, if you guys can hear me clearly, all the 181 participants, if there is no problem in the communication channel, write down a hello message in the chat window so that we can begin the session. Write down a hi message. I'm waiting for everyone. Come on. Hello Raksha, hi Achal, hi Satyam, hello Deveshi, hello Akita, hi Shruti, hi Varsha, hi Suman, hello Balaji, hi Gauri, hi Neha, hi Priyanka, hi Ankita, hello Chandan, hello Bharadwaj, hello Vijay, hi Dr. P. Palaniswamy, hello Satish, hi Tanmay, hello Dr. Rajesh Chauhan ji, welcome sir, hello Shubham, hi Amrita, hello Madan, Okay, great. Very good. So I'm getting bombarded with the number of messages of hi and hello. So now I'm certain that, hello Dilip ji, now I'm certain that we are sure that we can begin the session of today. And let me just tell you that this is not the kind of webinar that you must be habitual of getting. For example, in most cases, what I've seen is that there is a pre-created PPT. There is already a slide that has been created by the speaker, and he starts giving sentences from that slide. And once and for a while, whatever is written on the slide is actually told to you, right? So this is a different kind of a session. What we are going to do is we are going to actually create some products and applications. We're actually going to dive deep into machine learning and learn something about it, right? So only for the first 5 minutes, I'm going to indulge in the theoretical aspects of machine learning, and then we will jump straightly onto the practicals, right? And everything that will be shown to you in this webinar will be typed in front of you line by line by line. Okay, I'm not going to show you any pre-written code, any pre-created script. Whatever I'm going to show you, right? Once the webinar is over, I'm also going to share my GitHub ID with you. On my GitHub, you are going to find a lot of machine learning projects that are already created and deployed. So you can download it from there. You can use it for your personal research. Now, I have been informed that we have a diverse crowd, of participants. We have a diverse crowd of participants. And whenever there is a diverse crowd, I know that some of you might be from the computer science domain. So you must be good with programming. You must be good with Python. And some of you might not be from the computer science domain. So maybe you don't have any idea what machine learning is, right? So what it means is some of you would have a CS background, and some of you would not. Some of you would not, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to start the session, the level of the session from 0. I'm not assuming anything as far as I know, right? I'm not assuming that the participants are good with machine learning or the participants have a basic understanding of Python. I'm going to start the level of the webinar with a scratch because I know for some participants, this topic might be completely new, right? So we will be starting from scratch. We will be starting from scratch. Right? Great. Control S. So we know we all have seen 3 Idiots. We all have seen the movie 3 Idiots. We all have seen the movie 3 Idiots. And we know that whenever we are going to learn a new subject, so we know that when we are going to start learning a new subject, we must always answer 3 basic questions. We must always answer the 3 basic questions first. Basic questions, and those questions are that the first important question is the what, the second important question is the why, and the third important question is the how. These 3 questions must.
Your camera is off.
Yes, my dear, my camera is off. Somebody else's is on. Let me just quickly mute everyone, and let me just make sure that nobody's webcam is on. Right? What you can do is that you can maximize the window on your screen also. So even if somebody's microphone is on or camera is on, you will not be able to see him. You will only able to see the slide that I'm going to share. Okay. So the 3 basic questions: what, why, and how. Doesn't matter whether you are starting machine learning or whether you are going to learn genetic programming or whether you are going to learn singing or dancing. The 3 basic questions are essential. Now in machine learning, these questions will become what is machine learning? Then it will become why to choose machine learning. And finally, the last question will become how to apply machine learning. These are the 3 questions that we are going to answer in today's webinar. Now, if you have close attention to the first 2 questions, if you look the 3 questions closely, you will see that the first 2 questions are theoretical. What do you tell in the what part? What do you have in the what part? So in most of the cases, in the what part, you have a definition, right? Now in the why part, you have a career aspect. For example, you want to know where machine learning is used in the actual industry. What are the profiles in which I can apply for? What are the domains? What are the job descriptions in which I can apply? And finally, in the how part, you have the actual coding examples. So let me just give out a brief definition. That in the what part, we cover the definition. In the why part, we cover the career aspects. And finally, in the how part, we actually code some examples. So coding applications. This is exactly what we are going to do. So the first two questions will take 5 more minutes. That is the theory part. Once the first two questions are answered, that is the what and the why, we can jump to the how part. And let me tell you, how part is where all the magic happens, because you know that engineering, my dear, is all about practicals. We don't really concern and bind ourselves with theory as much as we'd like to do practicals. That is something that is, you know, habitual with engineers, right? So let me just give you a short, sweet, and simple definition of machine learning. I'm not going to give you a complicated definition, because definition is something that you can simply Google. You can copy and paste it from Wikipedia also, right? So a sweet and simple definition is, machine learning is the art and science, of training machines with data, That's it. A short, sweet, and simple definition. Let's not indulge in a complicated definition, because our point and purpose is to create applications, not to discuss about. Now, coming to the why part, you need to understand machine learning is mostly used in two major domains. Machine learning is mostly used in two major domains, and this is very essential for a person who is looking to have a career in machine learning, right? All the people in the webinar who actually want to get a career in machine learning, there's something that's very important for you, right? So ML is mostly used in two major domains. The first domain is the analytics domain, and the second domain is the engineering domain, right? These are the two major domains in which machine learning is used. And I'm going to give you the name of all the profiles which are very common in which you apply for a job if you select a career in machine learning, right? So the most common profile in the analytics domain is that you can either apply to become a data analyst, you can either choose to become a data scientist, you can choose to become a data engineer, and you can also choose. Somebody's microphone is on, so let me just quickly mute them. These are the most common profiles in the analytics domain, right? Now, coming to the engineering domain, the most common profiles in the engineering domain are, you can choose to be an ML engineer, that is a machine learning engineer. You can choose to be a research engineer. You can choose to be an AI programmer. And finally, you can choose to be a computer scientist. You can choose to be a computer scientist, right? These are the most common profiles in the engineering domain. There are other profiles as well, but what you need to understand is that these are the most common ones, right? So the what and why part is tackled. Let us jump on to the how part, and then we are good to go, right? So enough with the theory. Let us go. Right? And what you need to understand is that since the nature of this webinar is practical, since we are going to have a practical session, it is essential to choose a programming language. Otherwise, how are we going to write down the code for Control S? And today we are choosing Python. So all the coding examples will be created, crafted using the Python programming language, right? Now I know that since we have a diverse crowd, maybe some of the participants who are from the computer science domain, I can have a high level discussion about computing with them and they would not mind. But for the people who do not domain, yes, and for the people who do not belong to the computer science domain, if I start using high level computer science terminology, then the webinar is going to become boring because nothing will make sense. Okay, so we will make sure that we carefully choose the terminology so that each and every participant who is attending the session can be fruitful to them, right? So you know that since we are choosing Python, we obviously need to have an IDE also. And today the IDE that we are choosing is called Spider. We will be coding on Spider, and Spider comes pre-bundled with Anaconda distribution, which is a free software that you can download from the internet, right? It's a free software. You can download it from the internet. Okay. So without wasting any more time, let us open Spider window, Control N, do a Control N. That is, open a new file. And let me just save this file for you. You can see that the file is empty. That means nothing is written here, no pre-created code. We are going to code from line number 1. Okay, do a Control-Shift-S and then start writing down the name. So ML webinar is the name of the file that we are today going to code in, right? The name of the file is ML webinar only. And let me just increase the font size. So I have increased the font size and I'm writing down machine learning webinar here. Machine learning webinar, right? So what you need to do, you need to tell me that is the font visible to everyone? Write down a yes in the chat window. Is the font visible to you guys? Write down a yes in the chat window quickly. I've increased the font. Okay, great. So Balaji, everybody is written a clear yes. That means we are good to go. Okay, very good guys. Thank you very much for being responsive. And make sure that each and every time I ask the question, you reply like this only, because then what will happen is that we both be on the same page and we both can create applications. So now I'm giving a high level introduction, and let me just make sure that everyone's microphone is on. Okay. So what you need to understand is that in a human brain, that in humans, there's an organ known as brain, that is responsible for the intelligence that we have, that is responsible for the intelligence that we have, right? And when scientists used to look at the working of the human brain, so one primary reason that they found for humans having intelligence is the quality of brain, to collect, pre-process, and make sense out of data, right? And the data is collected by our organs such as eyes, ears, etc. Right? So when we are going to create intelligent systems in machine learning, you know that in machine learning, in ML, our motivation is to create intelligent systems. Our motivation is to create intelligent systems. And the basis for that is, Rahul sir, please request the person to turn off the camera. It is disturbing the beautiful class experience for me. Okay, let me just quickly request. My dear, please make sure that everyone's webcam is on. And you know what? Let me just check whose webcam is on. If I have the explicit permission, I can close it down myself, right? Just give me a second, guys. Just stay with me here. Okay, so I've got the person whose webcam is on. And let me just close the webcam for you myself. So I'm trying to close the webcam myself. Don't worry about it. Yeah, right. So I think it is closed now. We have requested the person. Okay, great. Fine then. So I'm getting a question from Harsh Sharma in the chat window, and Harsh has written, object detection and machine learning possible to project to develop? Yes, it is perfectly possible. In fact, if you check out my GitHub repository, I have given some pointers there on how to develop object detection systems, right? It is something that is very hot in the computer science domain right now, but let me assure you that it is very easy to develop. It just takes more time. So you will be needing a lot of time to develop object detection systems because the data collection process is very large, right? This was my answer to a question put up by Harsh Sharma in the chat window, right? So in ML, we know that our motivation is to create intelligent systems, and the basis to create intelligence in products and applications is data. Control S, right? So the basis to create intelligent products and applications is data. And let me just show you that all the machine learning projects that you use on day-to-day life, all ML projects, all ML applications or products that you use on a day-to-day basis on a day-to-day basis rely on data to generate intelligence, right? And let me just give you some potent examples, right? For examples, let me just give you some examples from here, right? For examples, you must have heard about the weather forecasting system that is embedded in your smartphones. So every morning when you wake up, you can have a look at your smartphone screen and you get the data of weather forecasting, right? So let's say that you see a weather forecasting system. Now you need to understand that weather forecasting systems can only work by feeding the past data of weather in a country, right? Only then the system can actually predict the data of the future, right? The second most common system that you use is a language translation or a voice assistant. A voice assistant, the example of which is Alexa and Siri. Alexa and Siri, right? Alexa and Siri. So you need to understand that all the voice assistant system, Varis Ahmed Kumar has asked a question. Let me just answer the question. I am doing mechanical engineering. How can ML benefit mechanical engineer? Varis, very good question that you have asked. Let me just reply in the chat window. See, today what has happened is that software is no longer a component that is added from the outside. Today, computer science has actually become the way of life, right? So all the mechanical machines, all the hardcore machines that were once created by operators to run, today what we are going to do is, today we are using computer programs to model those machines, right? For example, if I ask that, what do you think that if I want to create a car, which branch of engineering shall I use? So you'll say automobile, which is a subset of mechanical branch. But you need to understand that today we are not creating typical cars that walk on the road. Today we are trying to create self-driving cars. So where does that self-driving feature comes from? Where does that autonomous practice comes from? It comes from computer science. It comes from machine learning, right? So you need to understand that all the machinery in mechanical engineering can be automated and made smarter by using machine learning and artificial intelligence. I hope that answers your question, Varis Ahmed Kumar, right? So let's start with our session. Let's begin with our session. So all the voice assistant use the data of languages, data of natural languages, right? Control C. The third most common example is a recommendation system. The third most common example is a recommendation system. For example, how Netflix has a recommendation system, how YouTube has a recommendation system. So for a recommendation system to work, you need to have a data of users and movies. Only then you can recommend different movies to different customers. Now you can have smart chatbots. You can have smart chatbots, and obviously you need to have textual data. You need to fill textual data for it to answer, right? So these are all the examples. Let's say you want to do sentiment analysis or spam classification. Let's say you want to do sentiment analysis. So again, you need data from social media, from social. Let's say you want to do facial detection. Let's say you want to do facial detection. Obviously, you need data of human faces, right? And 7, you can write down etc. So I'm sure that now you understand that for every smart and intelligent application, the most important component is to first have data, and which is why we say that data is the new oil or it is the new coal. Data is the new oil or the new coal. I'm sure you must have heard about this term, right? Very good. So this was the basic introduction. Now let us begin with our project that we are going to do today, right? So since we are, since this is a webinar and we have a time constraint, we have a time limit to open the webinar, to start the webinar and to close the webinar, which is why all the projects that I'm going to show you are micro projects. You need to understand that since we have a time constraint, for a webinar, we will be developing live micro projects, but make sure you understand it. Janvi has asked a question, sir, can we program it in Java too? Yes, you can program it in Java also. You can program in C and C++ also. Machine learning is a language independent concept. I hope that answers your question, Janvi. So since we have time constraint for a webinar, we will be developing live micro projects. but you need to understand, but make sure you understand this. Make sure you carefully understand this. Make sure you carefully understand that these are micro projects, that these are micro projects in the industry. And this I can tell you from experience. In the industry, we create real world applications. We create real world applications that have a deadline, okay? So obviously, if you want to create any system that can be deployed in the real world, what you need is dedication and what you need is time, okay? So for any real world application, for any worthwhile project, the two most important things you need, is time and determination. So I'm sure you have a lot of determination, but what you need is a time. And you need to understand that there's a very famous saying in English that built in a day. Right? It's a famous saying in English. There's a famous saying that Rome was not built in a day. I hope you know what it means. Rome was not built in a day. Okay, so make sure you understand this carefully. And I'm getting a question from Priya in the chat window. So let me just answer that question. You can simultaneously put up your questions in the chat window, no problem. Fine, I will answer simultaneously. So Priya has asked a question, and Priya has written, sir, whether the input data must be always in image-based format? No, my dear. The input data can be an audio file. The input data can be a SQL relational database file. The input data can be an Excel file. The input data can be a CSV file, which is a comma separated value file. The input data can be an HDF file. The input data can be a video also. Okay. So machine learning as a branch works on all aspects of data. You can have textual data, you can have image related data, you can have audio data, you can have video data. Whatever you get, we can work with it. I hope that answers your question, please. Right? Let's move on with our examples today. And Priya has written, thank you. Okay, great. So the project that we are going today is called an smart image recognition. We are going to build a smart image recognition and classification system. Right? There's what we are going to do today. That we are going to build a smart image recognition and classification system. Right? Let's take this project slightly upward and let us call some libraries. So I have a disclaimer here for you to understand. And the disclaimer is that we will be using some deep learning libraries too. For this project. Okay. So let me do all the heavy work. While you just enjoy, while you just listen and enjoy. Okay. And don't wait for the session to end if you have a question, right? No problem. Simply type your question in the chat window. I will wait for a second. I will answer your question and then we will move forward. Okay. Workshop interactive in that sense. Okay. Somebody's microphone is on. So let me just close everyone's microphone. So let me just write down here that if you get a question, if you have a question, don't wait for the session to end. Don't wait for the session to end. Write your question in the chat window. Write your question in the chat window. I'll answer it. Parallelly. Okay. Let us start Control S with the syntax structure. So the most important library that we use in machine learning is called NumPy. NumPy is short form for numeric Python. And I know that if some of you might have started with programming, you might have started with C or C programming language, C or C++. So in C and C++, when we start coding, you know that the first line that we write is hash include stdio.h. Now, if you pay attention, you'll know that stdio is nothing but a library called standard input output. So that if you want to print hello world in C language, you can use the printf function defined in the standard input output library, and you can finally print something, right? In the similar manner, we are going to use some scientific computing libraries, and the first one is NumPy. So let me get all the libraries for you. So the syntax structure is import NumPy as NP. Now NP is the shorthand for NumPy, so that I don't need to write down NumPy every time. The second library that I want is matplotlib, matplotlib.py.splt. And finally, we want a library called pandas. So import pandas as PD, right? This is the library that we want to get. Now, this is the editor window, that is the left hand side. Anju has asked a question, machine learning is a subset of AI or deep learning, and why? Very good question, Anju. And I want you to pay attention to Manju's question. See, machine learning is the subset of artificial intelligence, and deep learning is the extension of machine learning, right? So to answer Manju's question, I'm writing down in the chat window that ML and DL both are subsets of AI, Deep learning or DL is the extension of machine learning, is the extension of machine learning. It is not a separate branch. It is not a separate branch in itself. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Manju. It is not a separate branch in itself. And Anshul has written the question, please tell what functions are used in each library included. I'm going to type that, don't worry. I will code that. Okay, I'll code that, don't worry. So when I select these statements and hit a control enter, I want you to check the console window. The console window is there on the bottom right hand section that I have highlighted in the blue color, right? So please make sure that you can check the console window. If the console window is visible, yes in the chat window. Is the console visible? The part that I have highlighted in the blue color, write down yes quickly. Because since we have started the session, we are going to go deep into this. Great, amazing, very good guys, very good. Now see what I'm doing here is, the first thing that you need to understand is that in normal programming, we have data structures. For example, there is a list data structure in Python, right? And just how we have data structure, we also have data structures in NumPy. So let me just, in fact, somebody's microphone is on. Let me make sure it is off. Fine. So let us get the two deep learning libraries, and the deep learning we are using is TensorFlow as TF, and from TensorFlow we are importing Keras. These are the two high level libraries. Hit and enter and wait for a second to start. Control this. Now I want you to know that today we are working with a famous data set in the ML community, and the name of which is Fashion MNIST. The name of which is Fashion MNIST. Today we are working with Fashion MNIST dataset, right? Fashion MNIST dataset contains thousands of pictures of clothes or wardrobes, right? Thousands of pictures of clothes or wardrobes. So the final recognition model that we'll create, so the recognition model we will create will be able to recognize your clothes by looking at an image or a live video data. And Professor Dr. P. Palaniswamy has written a question, sir, please use any other data set, for example, face recognition. Sir, if you wanted a facial recognition system, you should have mentioned it earlier, because right now in my computer, I don't really have any data set that contains human faces. So I'm sure you know this, that yes, I will explain TensorFlow library, don't worry. So if I don't have a data set that contains human faces, so obviously what I cannot use it in the real time, because it requires pre-processing also. Okay. So Puru has asked a question. Maybe next time when you plan a deep learning workshop, you tell me the specific requirement that you have, the type of data that you want to work, and I will cover that, don't worry. Fine. Right now I don't really have a data set that contains human faces, which is why I'm not showing you, facial recognition. So Puru has asked the question, sir, do we need to download any packages for these libraries, or are these already present? Mostly they are already present, Puru. You just need to download TensorFlow extensively, right? So to download TensorFlow, you can write pip install TensorFlow. This is the command. Okay, so you'll get the data set. So let's move forward. Control S. I'm now going to write down a scraper which will download the Fashion MNIST data set for you. Okay, so make sure, say we are also recording this session, and I will make sure that you get the file also. This file will be shared with you after the end of the webinar. Okay, so make sure when you run this file on your own, make sure when you run this file on your own, you must have a fast internet connection. You must have a fast internet connection. You must have a fast internet connection, because the data will be downloaded. Because the data will be downloaded at runtime. Okay, and we will be writing a scraper for that. A scraper is a piece of code. Let me write down. A scraper is a piece of code that downloads data from the internet. Okay, so any code that you write that can download a data set for you is called a scraper. And pay attention to the syntax structure. I'm going to write down a scraper. So from TensorFlow.keras.datasets, you import Fashion MNIST. That this is the name of the module. And inside Fashion MNIST, you call a function called load data. This will load the data for you, and it returns to tuple number 1, tuple number 2. Let me do all the coding first. I will explain it to you. I'm going to repeat it. Make sure that once I have written the code, then you can start asking the questions. I'm going to explain you each and every time. Just let me do all the coding first, right? So training images or train underscore images, and then train underscore labels. Finally, we have test underscore images and test underscore labels. Let me run it for you. Control enter. This is a scraper that we have, and you can see. Sorry for interruption, but what is Keras Space as a question? It's a high learning library. It's a high level DL library. It's a high level DL library. That's it, right? It's a deep learning library, right? Sir, how to split data and training and test set? Any other data set? For that, you can use scikit-learn. Satya has asked a question: how to split the data set in train and test set? See, this is the syntax structure that you can use. You can write down from sklearn dot model selection, import train test split. I'm writing down in the chat window. You can use this function, Satya. It will cut the data set into 2 parts, that is training set and test set. And Madan has asked a question: what is Keras? Again, I've told you, Keras is a high level deep learning library that is developed by Francis Cole. Now, this is the variable explorer. I want you to check the top right hand section of the window. Let me just repeat it. Check the top right hand section of the window. I have highlighted training images in the blue color. Now, if I change the cursor, if I move the cursor, you can see that there is a dimension of training images. There are 3 numbers that are written in the dimension. Okay. So if the 3 numbers are visible to you, this is the dimension of the data set that we have. Write down the 3 numbers in the chat window. I'm waiting for your answers. Write down the dimension of training images. The box that I've highlighted in the blue color. Come on, I'm waiting for your answers. Quickly, guys. Can you check this dimension? The box that I've highlighted in the blue color on the top right hand section, there must be 3 numbers. Write down what the 3 numbers are, and we can wait for 15 seconds. Don't worry about it, right? Very good. Everyone has given me a correct answer. That is 60,000 by 28 by 28. Very good, guys. Thank you very much for being responsive. See, I have something to confess to you. It has been more than 5 or 6 years in IT industry, and I have extensively delivered workshops for the past 3 years for IITs, for NITs, for foreign universities, for corporate companies, and for all the private universities also. So when we are delivering a workshop on a campus premise, then I can see the students, I can see the participants, because we are sitting in front of each other, right? So the basic problem with the webinar is that you can't see who I am, right? So in order to interact, we have to be very responsive in the chat window, and I will like to thank everybody for being responsive so far. Fine. So make sure if I ask a question, you respond, because there is no other medium that we can know each other. We are not sitting in front of each other. We are not sitting in a room, right? Great. So, sir, if I have 3,000 images in dataset, may I use these datasets in ML? Yes, you can use Satya, right? And Rashmi has asked a question. Let's see. First answer Rashmi's question. So Rashmi has written, is there any documentation available to guide which modules and module method are to be used as per requirement? Yes, Rashmi, there is actually a complete documentation, very good documentation that is available, and I'm going to share the documentation with you once the session is over. Fine. Let us begin. So what I want you to understand is that 60,000 28 by 28 means, Siddharth has written, enjoying your class very much. Thank you very much, Siddharth. It means that we have 60,000 images of 28 by 28 dimension, right? And Madan has asked a question. Raju has written, very nice session, sir. Thank you, Raju. So Madan asked a question, sir, I have one doubt. Train images labels mean you are inserting a training image. Yes, it means that we have a training image and we have the dimensionals, right? 60,000 images of 28 by 28 dimension. Now, you know, I'm sure you know that images in computer science is nothing but a 2D collection of pixels. Everybody knows this, right? So what we call an image in computer science is nothing but a 2D collection of pixels. And Balaji has written a question, how can I train my own training image? We are going to learn that in some time, okay? Just be patient. We are on to that. Okay. So for example, when you download a laptop wallpaper, you must have seen that the basic orientation and the basic dimension of a laptop wallpaper is 1200 into 800, right? So what it means is that you have 1200 rows and 800 columns. Similarly, 28 by 28 means that images have 28 rows and 28 columns. So when you multiply 28 into 28, you get 784 pixels in a particular image. Right? Now let us do some data visualization. Right. So you know that since we have total 60,000 images, we have a total of 60,000 images, and in programming we start counting with a 0. So the indexing would be from 0. The indexing will be from 0 to 59,999, because we start counting with a 0 in programming language. Data visualization means to plot the data. And Dr. John Peter has asked a question, what is data visualization? To plot the data to get insights. Right? Shraddha has asked a question, sir, what does the value indicate in the table? I'm coming on to that, Shraddha. Okay? I'm on to that. Just be patient. Great. So this time, I want you to pay attention to this particular line here. Import matplotlib.py.splt. And I'm going to ask the question. You are going to reply in the chat window. How many of you have heard about a software called MATLAB? Answer, write down a yes in the chat. How many of you have heard about MATLAB? Amazing. So a lot of yeses. That means most of the people have heard about MATLAB. Very good. So what you need to understand is that matplotlib is a Python library based on MATLAB. Very good, guys. Thank you very much for being responsive. Matplotlib is a Python library. Based on the software MATLAB, based on the powerful software MATLAB. Right? So we are going to use that for visualization. And the name of that library, the short name of that library is PLT. You can see that PLT is the short form of that library that I've selected. So take PLT here, and I want you to pay attention to the name of the function. The name of the function I'm calling is IMShow, and you must see that there is a pop-up window here. That shows you the documentation, right? Now, I want you to read the first line of the pop-up window, and tell me what do you think the IM show function does. Read the first line of the pop-up window that is shown to you and tell me in the chat window what do you think this function does. I'm waiting, no problem. We can go slowly, but each and every code has to be understood by our participants. What do you think this function does? Read the first line of the pop-up and tell me. Yes, so Dr. A. Prakash has been the first one to answer. It displays an image. Very good. It displays an image, right? So this is an example of documentation, right? Earlier, I remember that I think Rashmi asked a question that, sir, how can we see the documentation? So we can see the documentation like this. Take the first question. Take the first image, that is training images, and 0th training image, because 0 is the number from which we start counting. You off the axis and then you plot the image plt.show. Ready? I'm going to show you the first image, and if you can identify what type of wardrobe is it, you need to write down the name of the wardrobe in the chat window. Ready? Start identifying. What do you think it is? What type of wardrobe is it? The output is there on your screen, shared on your screen. Tell me, what do you think it is? It's a shoe. Very good. Amazing, guys. Thank you very much for being responsive. It's a shoe. Great, great, great. And if I want, I can grayscale this image also, right? So to grayscale this image, let's take the same piece of code, Control C and hit a Control V. Come down here and provide a keyword called binary. So if I have provided a keyword called binary, the image will be shown to you in a black and white format. Here you can see. Tell me which one looks more beautiful, the colored one or the black and white one in the chat window. Which one do you think looks more beautiful? In the colored window or the black and white window? So now this is something which is a personal preference, right? We don't need to have a fight on this. You can like the colored picture also. You can like the black and white picture also. Doesn't really matter. So let me close this. And now I'm going to ask a question to you and you will be replying in the chat window. Okay, I'm going to ask a question and you will be replying in the chat window. So the question is, Control S, that how many of you have seen Race 2 movie? Race 2 movie that stars Saif Ali Khan. Write down a yes in the chat window. Have you seen this movie? It's quite famous movie. It has, I think, 3 parts. The first 2 are good one. The last one is the one that is the most criticized one. So a lot of people have written yes, and some people have written no also, right? So let me just make sure you understand it, that there is a scene in that movie. There's a scene in that movie where Saif goes on to exchange currency. Right? Only the currency at the top of the briefcase was genuine. Rest currency at the bottom was fake. It was simply paper. Do you guys recall the scene? Write down a yes in the chat window. Do you guys recall the scene? You can watch this scene on YouTube if not, right? So the reason why I brought this up is, the reason why I'm giving you this example is, because you also have a total of 60,000 images. You also have a total of 60,000 images, but you have seen only one. Only the first one. But this is not the optimal approach. Right? It's not the optimal approach, because maybe the images at higher indexes are corrupted, right? So what you should do is that you should plot multiple images simultaneously to be sure. Plot multiple images simultaneously. You should plot multiple images simultaneously to be sure about it. To be sure about it. Sure about it. Now again, guys, since you are not sitting in front of me, these images are different, Janvi. Okay, I'll show you. Since you are not sitting in front of me, and since we are not interacting one-on-one, otherwise I would love to interact with each and every participant. I'm sure you all are experts in your own walk of life, and I have been pursuing artificial intelligence for a very long period of time. So if we meet in person, let's hope we can meet in person someday. We will have a very good discussion, right? So since we are not, watching each other in person, first tell me one thing. Is the example clear? Are you understanding the emotion behind my example? Write down a yes in the chat window. Are you getting what I'm trying to say here? Why you should plot multiple images? Are you getting my emotions? Okay, great. Very good, very good. Now I'm again going to ask the question, and you will be replying in the chat window, obviously, right? Tell me, what do we use? What do we use in a programming language for running the same piece of code? For running the same piece of code multiple times? Yes, loop. Very good, very good. The right answer is a loop or a function. Now see, one thing has happened, that you must have seen that my spider window is frozen. Can you see it? My spider window is hanging for a second. Is it visible to you? The screen has gone frozen, right? So this is something that I want you to understand. See, in my system, there is a little amount of RAM and a lot of processes are running in the background. So these things happen. You don't need to worry about it. See, I'm forcefully closing the spider window, and I have a very good habit that I type Control S after every statement. Okay, so there's my habit that I do Control S, Control S, Control S every time. So I can assure you that we need to just simply restart spider and none of the code would be gone, right? So just take a second, open window, and you start spider one more time, give it a second, and in 5 seconds it will be launched, right? We are using the 4th edition. So you can see it has started launching on your screen. I'm sure it is visible to you. You can see it has started launching. Wait for a second. These things happen, okay? You don't need to worry about it. The most important skill that I think we should have as an engineer is that problem solving. That is the most important skill that we have. I use this habit to save Excel data at all points of time. Chitraj is written. This is a very good habit. In fact, I think when we are professional programmers, 2 of our fingers are always on Control S, because Control S is the most important operator. Now, if you remember, we saved the name of the file by the name machine learning webinar. Okay, so let me just drag and drop the file for you, and then we are good to go. So see, I'm going into my window in the NLP folder, and I think this is the file, quick access. This was the file in which we were coding, right? ML webinar. So what I can do is I can simply drag and drop this file onto Spider here. That's it, we are good to go. And we can simply increase the font size, no problem, right? You can see, you can simply increase the font size. We have all the file here. So let it execute one more time so that we can resume our operations. Control Enter, we are good to go. Come down here. Control Enter. And this is the place where we were coding, right? So the question was that what do you use to simultaneously plot things? Okay, so I'm writing a loop here. For I in range, yes, full video will be provided to you. Syed Ali Fatima has written, full video will be provided to you, don't worry, okay? So I'm writing down here, make sure you pay attention. The code I'm writing here is for I in range 25. That means I want to show you 25 images simultaneously. And before I complete this loop, I have an information to tell you. See, in the variable explorer, here's a training label. Now, when I open training labels, you must see that there are numbers from 0 to 9. So tell me in the chat window, are the numbers visible to you from 0 to 9? Write down a yes, I'm waiting for your answers. Is the information visible to you? Okay, so what you need to understand is, this is something that is important. What you need to understand is that Fashion MNIST dataset is encoded with numbers. Is encoded with numbers, right? What it means is that in place of actual cloth names, they have assigned a unique number. They have assigned a unique number, right? Now the good thing is You don't need to memorize this. You don't need to memorize this. You don't need to memorize this. You can simply Google it. You can simply Google it. And why don't I show you how to Google it, right? So open Google window. Is the Chrome window visible to you? Write down a yes quickly. Make sure your fingers are steady on the chat window. I have opened the Chrome browser. Visible? Okay. You simply do a Google search, fashion MNIST. That's it. You just do a Google search, fashion MNIST, and open the first link. You can see I've simply done a Google search, which is why we are using a data set that is famous. Because if I use a data set that is not famous, this information won't be there. Open this. And you can see that there is an information here. I want you to check this section. Here it is written that which label represent which image. Make sure you pay attention. That 0 is for t-shirt and top, 1 is for trouser, 2 is for pullover. Then we have dress, coat, sandal, shirt, sneaker, bag, and ankle boot. Are the labels visible to you? Write down a yes. Can you see which number represents which image? Okay, great. Thank you very much for being responsive. So you can copy and paste this information. Right, if you want, you can copy and paste it from here, but I have already copied and pasted it, so I have pasted it here, right? I can download it from here. Doesn't really matters. If you want, you can copy here also. Control A, Control C, and let's come down to Spider. Okay, let me write the code first. Once the code is written, I will explain it to you. Control Enter. Now let's complete our loop. So we wrote for I in range 25C. This time plt.subplot, because plot inside a plot. I'm going to show you multiple images. And how do I show you 25 images? In the matrix of 5 by 5. That means 5 images in the row, 5 images in the column. Then plt.xticks, you close the ticks. Let me do the coding first. I will explain it to you. Okay, don't worry about it. I'll explain it to you. plt.imshow, training images. This time, since it is a loop, you write down I here. Then plt.xlabel, you provide the names of the labels, which is class names, training labels, IF training label, and finally plt.show to show all the images. Okay, so when I will run this piece of code, the first 25 images will be shown to you simultaneously. If you can recognize all the images, write down all in the chat window. Ready? Here are the first 25 images. Here are the first 25 images on your screen. If you can identify all, write down all in the chat window. Make sure you pay attention. Take 15 seconds, 30 seconds. I'm here only. Make sure you recognize all the images. Take 15 seconds. Very good, guys. So I think 30 seconds must be sufficient for you to see. So Sudeep has a question. Why the blue color show in the top right corner? Because it measures intensity. Now, if I want, I can show you the same images in black and white also. You know, I just need to add binary here. Let's see which one looks more beautiful, right? Let's see the images in grayscales. Let's check which one is more beautiful. Control Enter. The same 25 images, this time binary. Make sure you watch clearly. I'm here only. I'm not going anywhere. Take your time. Now tell me which one looks more beautiful. Information is visible to everyone in the chat window. Very good, guys. Thank you very much. Great, great. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Right. So let's close this section. Very good, guys. Thank you very much. Let's close the section. And let me write down a very important fact, right? Make sure you understand this. Good. So far, make sure you understand this. So far, we have only visualized the images. So far, we have only visualized our data set. Our data set, right? This process is called, this process is famously known as, data exploration. Data exploration. But if you pay attention, we have not actually started with our recognition model, right? So now we are prepared. Now we are prepared to build our recognition model. Okay, guys. So let us move forward and build our recognition model. Now the data visualization process is completed. So I'm writing down here is, you need to understand, Puru has asked a question, and let me just answer Puru's question. Sir, how come you are writing the comments without hash or, and the system is still accepting it? Because I am not running those statements. It is just written there. I'm not running those statements. Okay. If I run, it will give an error. Do you want to check the error? Do you want to see the error? Tell me. Do you want to see the error? See, if I select this English statement and run it, here is the error on the console window. Is the error visible? It says invalid syntax. So whatever I'm writing in English, I'm actually not executing that. I'm just writing it for your understanding. Okay. Good point, my dear. Very good. Okay. And great. Can you show class names one more time? Yes, I can. See, this is the class name list. It contains the name of all the classes from 0 to 9. Madhukar, you can see this here. Okay. This is the class name list. It contains the list of all the classes from that site. We have simply copied and pasted it. Nothing fancy going on here. Okay. Good. So let us move forward and build our system. Fine. Very good. Let's move forward and build our system. So what you need to understand, my dear, is that there are hundreds of algorithms, the hundreds of algos which I can use for recognition, but because of time constraint, because we started the session at around 11:40 and it's already 12:40, so 1 hour has passed, right? Satya has asked a question, so if I'm working with fingerprint images, how can I classify class names? For that, you will have to use unsupervised learning to generate labels yourself. Use unsupervised learning to generate class names automatically. So, but because of time constraint, we will use a simpler algorithm known as decision tree classifier, decision tree algorithm, right? Again, let me do all the coding and then you wait for a second. So I'm calling the decision tree algorithm, and before that, there is one more important note that you need to understand, and that note is most ML algos work with two-dimensional data, with 2D data set. Okay, but currently your data is in 3D. Currently your data is in 3 dimensions, is in 3D. So you need to first change it, right? Janvi has written, so please conduct next webinar on AI. Certainly, Janvi, you just organize it, tell me the topic, and I will be very happy to speak to you. Right. So for that, what we can see is, we know that the data set is in 60,028 by 28 format. So obviously it is 3-dimensional. What we need to do is that again 28 by 28 means 784 pixels in one image. Put all of them in a line. Put all the pixels in a line. Right? And let me just show you this graphical operation here. So you can write down 60,000. Okay. You can write down this as, it will be changed from 3D to 2D. And let me just show you what this operation is doing. So I can open a paint window here. And I want you to understand how we are changing the dimension of the data set. So on the left hand side, you have the original data. That means all the 28 by 28 by 28 pixels, images, sorry. And there are 60,000 images, one on top of the other. So it's like a stack of coin. You take all the images, all the pixels, and you put all the pixels of an image in a line. So earlier, you had 60,000 squares. Now you will have 60,000 lines. And the data set's dimension will be reduced from 3D to 2D. So it is fairly simple technique. Tell me, did you understand it? Did you guys understood how we are going to change the dimension? It's fairly simple. Write down a yes quickly if you understood it. Great. So let me just show this to you in code. Let's do this in code. See, you need to check this box that you had seen earlier also. This box here shows the dimension 60,028 by 28, right? I'm going to change it and pay attention to that box that I've highlighted. See, these are the training images. Take the training image and you reshape it. Which dimension? 60,784. Okay. So pay attention to this box here. This box will now be changed from 60,028 by 28 to 60,784. Ready? Control Enter. Tell me, has it changed? Tell me, has the box changed? Is the dimension changed now by looking at the box there? Yes. So it is ready for machine learning, right? And make sure you let me write the code first and then I'll explain it to you. So from sklearn, sklearn is a short form or abbreviation or acronym for scikit-learn, which is a machine learning library developed by Google. From sklearn.tree, you import decision tree classifier. Let me do the coding first, okay? There is a decision tree classifier. You provide a depth here. And you call the fit function to show it the data set, training images, training labels. Wait for a second, I'll explain, okay? Don't worry. Let me do the coding first. Train images and train labels. Somebody's microphone is on. Let me just close microphone here. So this is the code that I've written. See, we are using decision tree algorithm and a tree is a non-linear data structure. I want you to check and tell me what is the parameter maximum depth. What is the value of the maximum depth parameter that we have used? Check this line and tell me. What is the maximum depth that I've assigned to the tree? Write down in the chat window. I'm sure it is visible to you. In the blue color, tell me the maximum depth that I've assigned. Fine. So now when I run the score function, you will get the output in the limits of 0 to 1. Pay attention to this. So if the output is 0, it means 0% accuracy. If the output is 1, it means 100% accuracy. And if you get a number in between, let's say you get 0.7, that means 70% accuracy. Let's say you get 0.81, that means 81% accuracy. So I'm going to run the score function. You tell me what is the current accuracy of the algorithm. Control Enter in percentage format. The output is there in the console window. Tell me what is the current accuracy in percentage format. I'm waiting for your answer in chat window. What is the current accuracy in percentage format? It is visible on the console window. Check here.
Okay.
35%. Very good.
Okay.
Right, you can see that the accuracy is 35%. Very good. You can round it off. It is around 35.68%, but rounding off 35%. Now tell me one thing. The model that you have, the recognition model that you have just created, is only 35% accurate. Is only 35% accurate, right? Means it will generate wrong predictions. It will generate wrong predictions for 65% of the cases. So my question here is that do you think it is a good model? if the accuracy is only 35%? Write down in the chat window. Obviously not. Obviously not. And let me tell you something from experience. Okay, let me tell you something from experience. So I can tell you something from industry experience. That in real world applications, in real world AI applications, please make sure your microphone is off, everyone. In real world AI applications, we need at least 90% accuracy. At least 90% accuracy. We don't even consider a system before that. Now we are not going to consider it before that. So it is certainly a poor model. It is certainly a poor model. It is certainly a poor model. Okay, control S. Now you need to understand here is that before I show you how to create model.fit is you telling the model, look at the data set. The fit function tells the model to look at the data set, Don't worry, I'll explain you the code. Just let me complete first. So before I show you how to create a powerful model, let us get predictions. From the poor model, itself. Okay. And let's see how we can get predictions. Control S. So we know that we have a total of 60,000 images. And the indexes are from 0 to 59,999. So see, what we are going to do is select 5 random index. Select 5 random index in the limit of 0 to 59,999 and check what is the actual cloth there. Then get the predictions. Then finally get the predictions. Right. So what you guys need to do is, since you all have been very responsive to all my question, is that you all need to give me one random number between 0 to 60,000. That random number could be like this: 42,628, 55,000 something, 2, 3, 4, 17,000, 23,000, and I will choose 5 random numbers automatically. I will choose 5 random numbers from the console window. So Meenakshi has given a number 54,323. Meenakshi has given 54,323. Meenakshi 54,323. And then Varis has given 39,000. Varis Ahmed has given 39,000. Varis and Meenakshi. Then let's look. Shruti has given 35,399. Shruti has given 35,399. And Devesh Prakash Singh has given 23456. Devesh has given 23456. One more number, one random number. And Priya has given 8188. Priya has given 8188. That's it. Selected 5 random numbers. You can choose any 5. Doesn't matter. Let's check what are the actual images there. Okay, pay attention to this piece of code, my dear. I'm going to show you what are the actual images at these indexes. So write down a loop here for I in these indexes. Control V. You print the names. So print class names, training labels, and ith training label. Ready? The names will be displayed in the console window. Control Enter. So the 5 actual images at these indexes are ankle boot, pullover, trouser, sneaker. Are the 5 actual images visible to you in the console window? Is the name visible to you? The actual 5 images. It is ankle boot, pullover, trouser, sneaker. Visible? Great. Now let's get the predicted images. Let us get the predicted images. Pay attention here. I am using a variable Bipred, and this is the name of the algorithm DTF. On DTF, I am calling the predict function. You can see that the pop-up suggests that the name of the function is predict. So if the name of the function is predict, what it does? Obviously, it gets prediction. So in the predict function, tell the function that you want the prediction on these places. You want the prediction on these indexes. Control V and 0 to 784 columns. Right? Now write a loop for I in Bipred. And again print the names of the predicted images. Class name, ith class name. Ready? I'm going to show you the predicted images and you need to tell me how many out of 5 are correct. Ready? Control Enter. Tell me how many out of 5 predictions are correct. The output is there in the console window. Tell me how many out of 5 are correct. How many out of 5 are correct? Count and tell. Very good. So you can see 4 out of 5 are correct. The first image is ankle boot and it says ankle boot. The second image is pullover. It says a coat, wrong prediction. The third image is trouser. It says a trouser. Fourth one sneaker, says a sneaker. Fifth one sneaker, says a sneaker, right? So this is how we get the predictions, right? Now 5 number, you can choose any amount of number. For example, in place of 5 numbers, you can have 7 and 8 numbers also. Okay, so let's take 7 numbers this time. In place of 5 numbers, let's take 7 numbers. So I'm choosing one more indexes. Let's say 32,000 and let's say 15,421. Now these are 7 indexes. Again, you can run the same piece of code for 7 numbers. Control C. Get down here. Let's see how many are correct in 7. Control V. Control V. Control S. This time, these are the names of actual images. 7 actual images. Ankle boot, pullover, trouser, sneaker, trouser, shirt. Are the actual 7 images visible to you? I've increased 2 more numbers. Write down a yes quickly. Are the 7 images visible to you? Okay. Now let us get the prediction for 7 images. Okay. Let's get the prediction for 7 images and check how many are correct. Tell me how many are correct this time out of 7. The output is there on the console window. Tell me how many are correct out of 7. Count and tell. How many are correct out of 7? Count and tell. How many are correct out of 7? You can see the first image is ankle boot. Ankle boot, good. Pullover, coat, wrong prediction. Trouser, right prediction. Then sneaker, right prediction. That is 3 plus 1, 4, right? Very good. So you can see our poor model can recognize 4 out of 7 randomly selected images correctly, right? Now let's build a powerful model. 4 out of 7, and you don't need to do anything. Just take the same piece of code and you will tell me what is the slight difference that is. Copy and paste the same code that I have written with a minute difference, and I want you to check what the minute difference is. Okay, I want you to check what the minute difference is. I'm using the same piece of code, but this time, earlier the maximum depth was 2. This time I have increased the depth to what number? Tell me. This time, what is the increased depth that I have provided? Earlier it was 2. Tell me what it is now. 25. Yes, everybody has answered correctly. Very good, guys. Yes, it is 25 only. Great. Amazing. Good. And you can see that the code is executing into the console window. If this was Fortran, C, C++, or Java, or any low-level programming language, the code would have executed by now. Okay. But since Python is a high-level programming language, so in Python, there is a slight issue of speed. Okay. So make sure you give it 15 seconds. It will take 10 or 15 seconds, and then it will execute, and we can finally get the predictions. And don't forget, earlier the accuracy of your model was only 35%. We will check what is the improved accuracy now with the increased depth of 25. Okay, just give it a second. Great, done. Now I'm going to run the score function one more time. Tell me what is the increased accuracy now in percentage format. The output is there in the console window. Tell me. What is the increased accuracy now? The output is there in the console window. Earlier it was 35%. Tell me. It is 99.4%. Very good. It is around 99%. So some fine tuning required. And then this model will be ready. Will be ready. Somebody's microphone is on. Please close down your microphone, my dear.
Okay.
So some fine tuning is required, and then this model will be ready for the real world. I will tell you what is depth until. Don't worry. Let me just complete the code here. Okay, I'll tell you. So some fine tuning required, and then this model will be ready for the real world application. Right. Now let's get the predictions one more time. Let us get the predictions one more time. I'll tell you what is maximum depth is. Don't worry. Just let me complete first. Okay. Earlier, our poor model gave 4 out of 7 correct predictions. 4 out of 7 correct predictions. Right? Let's see how many are correct this time. Control S. Let's see how many are correct this time. Okay. So you can copy and paste the same piece of code that I have written, because I have written the code myself. Control C. Come down here. And one more time, actual images, predicted images. So these are the actual images. It is not going to change. Same ankle boot, pullover, trouser, sneaker, trouser, shirt. Now tell me how many are correct this time. Ready? Control Enter. These are the 7 predicted images. Tell me how many are correct this time. You can check the console window. The above, actual, downwards, predicted. Tell me how many are correct. How many images are correct this time? All are correct. Very good. Very good. Very good. So you can see. Very good, guys. So you can see that all predictions are correct. Predictions, all 7 predictions are correct this time. Correct this time. Okay. So this is how you tune the system. So what you need to understand is the conclusion here is the conclusion of this micro project is first understand the conclusion and then I'll take your question, is that in about 70 minutes I have coded a micro ML project for you live. Okay, all the smart projects, all the real world projects follow the same steps. They are just lengthy. They are just time consuming. That's it. They're just time consuming. Okay, but the process is same. Okay. Now, one thing I also want you to understand is that the names of all the methods we used, were very readable. If you have noticed, were very readable, right? Was very readable. For example, to get the predictions, we used the predict function. And to show the images, we used IMShow function, etc. Okay, so make sure you understand this, that this is something that is only time consuming. It is not that difficult. And finally, let me tell you that the depth of the tree is its ability to store hidden patterns in the data set, right? So the larger the depth, so the greater the depth, the greater the depth of a tree, the more information and patterns it can recognize, thereby increasing the overall accuracy of the model. Control S. Done. So this was a small engineering example that we did, and now I need to conduct a poll. So tell me one thing. We have been together for the past 1 hour, 15 minutes basically. So tell me one thing. Was this example easy enough to understand? Did you understood this example? Was it easy? Did you understand it? Did you get the syntax structure? Did you get what is happening here? Yes. Amazing. Very good, guys. So this was the basic motivation that you learned some. Fine. Now you need to understand is that I told you in the beginning. Don't worry, we just have one more example. Shorter example, very small example. I told you in the beginning that ML is used in 2 domains, in 2 major domains, right? If you remember, the first one was analytics and the second was engineering. was engineering, right? So this micro project belongs to the engineering family, belongs to the engineering family. So now let's do an example. So now let's code an example from the analytics family. Are you guys ready for that? Your second and final project of the webinar, which will belong to the analytics domain. Write down a yes if you are. And we'll take only 20 minutes, right? Are you ready for the analytics project? Great, amazing response. So this time, the analytics project that we are going to do is a dice throwing game. That we are going to create, okay? And before we create a dice throwing game, I have a question for you guys. That I'm sure that you all are working professionals and some of you might be students, but still this question applies to everybody. So how many of you that do you guys play PUBG? Any PUBG players in the house? And not exactly PUBG, you can use any game or any other game for that matter, not exactly PUBG. You guys play PUBG or any other game for that matter. PUBG is just an example, right? Great. So you know that these games are all smart applications, are small smart products or applications that is coded by some developer. Only then you are able to play it, right? So we are going to code a game. I'm sure you are excited. We are going to code a game. Live. Okay, ready? Great. So first I need to tell you the rules of the dice throwing game. Once the rules of the dice throwing game are clear, we can then move on and actually code our application. Okay, so make sure you understand the rules clearly. The dice throwing game is very popular. In casinos around the world. I hope you know what casinos are. In casinos around the world. Okay, so let me just tell you the rules of the game and then we can code it. Control S. The rules of the game are: number one, let me write the rule first. Okay, don't worry about it. Let me write the rules. I will give you a feedback link. Don't worry, I'll give it to you. Just see in 15 minutes the session will be over. Okay, in about 15 minutes the session will be over. So after 15 minutes, I'm going to take questions and answers. I'm going to answer all your questions and then I'll give you a feedback and video recording link. Okay, just give me 15 more minutes, guys. Okay, just bear with me. The first rule is that we have two unbiased dices. Second, throw both the dices and record a number. Third one is add both the outcomes. To get a number. Fourth one, if the customer had betted on the number you got, he or she wins, otherwise loses. Okay, control this. So let me just read out the rules for you. Say we have two unbiased dices. Unbiased means the probability of getting a 1 to 6 is equal. You throw both the dices and you record the observation. Let's say on the first dice you get a 2, on the second dice you get a 4. So add 4 plus 2, you get a 6. If the customer had betted on the number 6, he wins, otherwise loses. Tell me one thing, are the rules clear? Only then we can start coding. Tell me, are the rules clear? Are you understanding the rules of the game? Write down yes quickly. Quickly, my dear, we only have 15 more minutes. Great. So if the rules are clear, tell me one thing. If the rules are clear, tell me what is the smallest number we can get in this game. Tell me, what is the smallest number we can get in this game? If the rules are clear, tell me. No, not 1, my dear. 2, 2, 2. We are adding both the dices. Not 1, but 2. The smallest number is a 2. We are adding the sum, right? Good, good, good. The second one, tell me the largest number in this game. What is the largest number in this game? Come on, quickly, quickly. 12. Great, amazing. Now, these were not the interesting questions. The interesting question is that which is the best number to bet on? Which is the best number to bet on? To bet on in this game. Come on, now answer this question. Which is the best number do you think to bet on in this game? No, 9 and 2 are the wrong answers. 6 is also wrong answer. 7 is also wrong. 8 is also wrong. Yes, so some people have answered correctly. 7 is the right answer. 7 is the right answer. Okay. Now I know some people might have studied probability and statistics. Their probability is revised. So if your probability and stats are revised, you'll know why. You'll know why 7 is the best number. You'll know why 7 is the best number. You'll know why 7 is the best number. Okay. But I will explain this because we have a lot of participants who might not know. Okay. So let me explain it for everyone and then we can move forward. And so you know that we can get the numbers from 2 to 12. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. We can get all these numbers. I'm going to quickly write down the permutations in which these numbers can offer, the combinations, and you tell me, right? So you can see that 2 can occur in only one combination, that is a 1 and a 1. But 3 can occur in 2 combinations, that is 1 and a 2 and a 2 and a 1. So 2 combinations. 4 can occur in 3 combinations, 1 and a 3, 3 and a 1, 2 and a 2. Then again 5 can occur in 1 and a 4, 4 and a 1, 2 and a 3. These are for people who don't know why 7 was the best. Okay, because I as a trainer have to consider all my students, not just the best ones, right? 2, 4. Very good. Somebody has written understood. Very good. But let me just take 1 minute and complete it because it will give out certain insights too. Then 1, 6 for 7, 6, 1, 2, 5, 5, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3. How many combinations? Total 6 combinations. Now it is going to, a lot of people have written understood. Very good if you have understood, but let me just quickly complete. 2, 6, 6, 2, 3, 5, 5, 3. See, I have to take all my students into account. Then for 9, we'll have 3, 6. Just a second, guys. Just a second. Please bear with me. 4, 5, 5, 4, 4. Finally, for 10, we'll have 4, 6, 6, 4, 5, 5. Done. 3, 11. Write down 5, 6, 6, 5, 2. And the last one is 12, 6, 6. And that is one combination. Now, do you know why 7 is the best number to bet on? Everyone, come on, tell me. Write yes in the chat window. Did you understood why 7 is the best number? Okay. Now, again, I have a question and you are going to answer in the chat window. Tell me, can you see that there is a growing trend from 2 to 7 and then there is a decreasing trend from 7 to 12? Tell me, is the trend increasing and decreasing trend visible to you? Right. Amazing. Very good. Now understand this point, that this was not something very interesting. This was not something very interesting. The interesting stuff lies ahead. The interesting stuff begins now. Tell me one thing. I can do the same calculation for a coin also, right? Question is that if I want, I can do the same calculation for a coin also. Right? So answer this question. I'm going to ask the question. Control S. What is the probability of getting a head or a tail in a coin? Come on, quickly, answers, chat window. What is the probability of getting a head or a tail on a coin? Coin, my dear, coin. 1 by 2 it is. On an unbiased coin. Yes, it is 1 by 2 or 50%. Right? Now pay attention here. Okay. Now pay attention. After this webinar is over, I want you to toss a coin 20 times. And I can assure you that you will not get 10 heads and 10 tails. Right? The distribution will be something difficult. Maybe 12 heads or 8 tails or something different or something different. Somebody's microphone is on. Just close the microphone. Right. So how do we prove? So how do we prove then that 7 is the best number? That 7 is the best number. Now I want you to read this statement that I've highlighted in the blue color and tell me, are you understanding what I'm trying to convey? Are you understanding the question that I'm putting forward? Are you getting my emotions, what I'm trying to make you understand? See, if you pause at 120 times, even though the probability is a 1 by 2 and 1 by 2, you are not going to get perfect 10 heads and perfect 10 tails. It could be different, maybe 11 tails and 9 heads, maybe 13 heads and 7 tails, right? So the answer to this question is, the perfect answer to this question is that code the game yourself, code the game yourself, play it yourself, play it yourself, play it yourself, and find out the best number yourself, and find out the best number yourself. Right? So we are now going to code the game. Pay attention to the syntax structure. I'm taking this forward. See, I'm writing down from random import choice. From random import choice. This is a from the random function, right? Now inside the choice function, I'm providing a range, and you know that counting starts with a 0, but we don't have a 0 on the dice. So in the range, I'm putting 1 to 7. You know why? Because it will generate random numbers in the limit of 1 to 6. Why 1? Because 0 is not on the dice, so we cannot have a 0. And why 7? Because upper bound is neglected in Python. So running this piece of code, running this code is like throwing a dice. Is like throwing a random dice, because it will generate random numbers in the limit of 1 to 6. And why don't I show you an execution? So I'm selecting it, I'm going to execute it. Tell me what is the number that I get. Control enter, tell me what is the number on the dice that I get. Check the console window. I have executed it one time. What is the number? Now I'm going to execute it a couple of times. Control enter. This time the output is again 3. Control enter. This time output 4. Control enter 3. Control enter 1. Control enter 4. Control enter 2. Control enter 4. Right? You can run it multiple times. Now in your game, you have two such dices. You have two such dices. See what I'm doing here is I'm taking the same piece of code, Control C, and I'm copying and pasting it here. The output is in variable 1. Control C, Control V. The next output is in variable 2, and according to the rules of the game, we have to add 1 plus 2. So I'm making a total variable, and I'm adding 1 plus 2, and then print the total variable here. Right? Now pay attention. Executing these 4 lines of code is like playing that game, because 2 random numbers will be generated from 1 to 6. Both random numbers will be added, and you will get a total. Now tell me, remind me one more time, what was the best number? Which number have you betted upon? Tell me in the chat window. Remind me one time. 7. Ready? Now I'm going to play the game. Let's see whether we win or whether we lose. Ready? Let us start playing the game. Control enter. You lost. The output is a 5. You can check the console window. Let's play it one more time. You again lost. The output is an 11. Control enter. You again lost. The output is a 10. So here I'm writing down, even though you know that 7 is the best number. 7 is the best number. Even though you know that 7 is the best number, you have played the game 3 times. You have played the game 3 times and have lost every time. Can you see that you have lost the game? The first output is a 5, the second one is an 11, and the third one is a 10. Is it visible, my dear, to each and every one? Tell me, is it visible? So now we are not going to run it 3 times. Now we are going to use the law of large numbers. Okay, we will use the law of large numbers. The law of large numbers. See what I'm doing here is I will take this piece of code and now I'm going to play it 10 lakh times. Control S. Let's use the law of large number. Control C. Let's write a loop here. So I'm writing a loop. for I in range, and after 1 we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's play the game 10 lakh times. Control enter. Make sure you do an indentation here. And each and every time there will be an output. So I'm creating an empty list here by the name throws. Control enter. See, this is the list named throws. Right? This is the throws list. You can check it is empty. This list on the top right hand section, it contains nothing, 0 elements in the list. So each and every time I get the output of a game, I append the output in the list throw, because I want to check out of 10 lakh approaches what number has occurred maximum number of times. Okay, I'll give you the feedback link. Don't worry, actually just 5 more minutes. Okay, I'm going to run this piece of code. Control enter, wait for a second. Each and every time the game will be played and the output will be stored in the throws list. Now if you check this list here, tell me, yes, like mode, you can check that now in the list we have 10 lakh elements. And the question here is that, can you visualize the final question of the seminar? Can you see 10 lakh elements, 10 lakh elements by naked eye? Tell me, can you see 10 lakh elements by naked eye? That list contains 10 lakh elements now. You have played the game 10 lakh times. Is that possible? Obviously not. Obviously. Okay. So pay attention. So we will use, we are now going to use the power of analytics. The power of analytics to conclusively prove which number occurred most number of times. Which number occurred most times. That means which is the best number. Control S. And see what I'm doing here is I'm creating a histogram. You all have learned about histogram in 11th and 12th standard. So plt.hist function. The hist function creates a histogram. A list named throws which contains your outputs. Set the bin size to 30. That means 30 bin. And plt.show to check it. Ready? I'm going to show you the histogram of all the 10 lakh elements. You need to check and tell which number has occurred maximum number of times. Ready? Control enter. Tell me which number has occurred maximum number of times. Tell me which number has occurred maximum number of times from the histogram. Very good, guys. You can see that 7 has occurred the best number of times and 7 is the best number. Now tell me, in the mathematics that you did, in the permutations and combinations that you wrote, there was an increasing and decreasing trend. Is there the increasing and decreasing trend in this graph? Tell me, can you spot the increasing and decreasing trend? Amazing, amazing, amazing. And the final question, you knew from calculation that you check from calculation here. See the calculation here. The chances of getting a 6 and a 8 are equal. That is, 6 can also occur in 5 attempts. 8 can also occur in 5 attempts. Tell me from this figure, are the chances of 6 and 8 equal? Tell me from the graph. Are the chances of 6 and 8 equal? Yes, very good. And the chances of 2 and 12 are also equal. That is 1-1 combination. Very good, guys. Very good, very good. Thank you very much for being responsive. Very good, guys. Let me close the session here. And this was the example. See, so you must have heard the last line of the seminar. You must have heard the last line of the seminar. Just a second. The last line. You must have heard that famous economists can predict recession. I hope you know what recession is, right? Can predict recession, but nobody believes. An economist just on his words. So what they do is, bin size is the number of bins. Priya has asked a question, what is bin size? It is the number of bar, my dear, the number of bars, right? So what the economist does is that the economist will create a data analysis project, a data analysis report showcasing multiple factors that predict recession. and then you will have to agree with his word. Then you will have to agree with his words. Agree with his words, right? So this was the power of data analytics. So I did not waste any time. Mishika Zetan, you taught very nicely, sir. Great to meet you. Very approachable. Thank you very much, my dear. So in the beginning of the session, I did not give you my introduction. Let me just give you my introduction here. My name is Rahul Pathak. If you have a question, you can ask in the chat window. And Anju's question, sir, can I create the DICE game using GUI? Yes, you use TK Inter and you can create the game. If you want to create the GUI, use TK Inter. So let me just give you my introduction. My name is Rahul Pathak. Yes, I am also looking forward to meet you guys in person. And I am the head of Department Artificial Intelligence at SETPA Infotech Private Limited. At SETPA Infotech Private Limited. And I'll give you my email ID. Let me just share my email ID here so that if you have a problem in the future, if you encounter a problem or whether you need a help, you can contact me. Right. Thank you very much, guys. That was my session. And if you have any question, you can simultaneously write down in the chat window. And now I would request the faculty members of Surendra College to take over the session. Thank you very much, guys. Sir, you can now continue. My part is done.
Hello all. I'm Ms. Amrita Kundu, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science Engineering.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
And it's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks for this webinar on behalf of Surendra Institute of Engineering and Management. I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to our speaker of the day, Mr. Rahul Pathak, for taking out his valuable time from his busy schedule and sharing his knowledge and understanding of the topic.
And guys, the feedback link is there on the chat window. There's the feedback link in the chat window, and there is a link there from where you can download your certificates for the webinar. So make sure it has been posted by Kuldeep Dixit, who's the marketing manager at SETPA. Kuldeep sir, if you want, you can take over the session now. The feedback link is there in the chat window, my dear. Okay, I'm typing down the details here. Control C, I'm typing down the details here in the script also.
Unmute.
So you can go to this link in this section and you can give your feedback there and you can get your certificates from there also. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much for your amazing words. And again, the link is being shared multiple times by our executive. So you can use this link, provide your feedback, and you can download your certificate. The verification code is 4000 there. And SETPA Infotech is a premier company in North India that provides training, development, and consultancy. So we are there into computer science, mechanical, electronics. We train students and professionals on more than 200 plus technologies. And we have worked with all the major corporate clients in the Noida NCR region. So whenever you get a difficulty in your career or whenever you feel like you are stuck and get a guidance, be it any field you are from, feel free to check out our website to contact us. Okay. Bye-bye, guys. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. And let's hope that we can in future in person. Bye-bye.